Seen a lot of Dalot slander online after the draw against Forest on Saturday. But my question to you out there is Amorim's left wing-back problem much bigger than just one player? We've also got updates regarding the January transfer window from Fabrizio Romano later on in the video, so stick with us and stay tuned for that one. And as ever, please get involved in that live chat with your own opinions and questions so we can discuss them throughout today's video. If you are joining us later on, make sure you get involved in that comment section and smash that like button. How are you feeling after Saturday's game?
Relief, that's what it is. But getting on to this now, Ruben Amorim, has he got problems? Of course he's got problems. We're not deluded. You're not deluded out there. I've seen your comments. Regardless of United having found a bit of momentum, a decent bit of consistency, but the reality is it's a work in progress. There's many players in this squad what are used in positions that they're not comfortable with and they're being caught out, and none other so than Dalot. I very much doubt 12, 18 months ago Dalot ever thought he would be playing left wing back, and I for one can't see him lasting there. Doesn't suit that position at all.
Yeah, you did notice, you know, as recent as the Forest game, especially from that first minute in the second half, he looked vulnerable, Dalot, in defending situations from the crossing areas, and it's something that opponents will always look at to exploit.
I think with Dalot, you've got to look at him, and there has been a lot of criticism, which you're entitled to criticise a player's performance. He's not a terrible player. He's just being played out of position. And I look at him not just in the Forest game, to be honest with you, Kieran. I've looked at him over the last couple of months, and he tends to wander, tends to sort of like pass the buck to other players. And I did point out in the Forest game that he wasn't sure whether to go forward, whether to defend, and he gets caught out, sticking his arm up, passes the buck to other players. But he's been doing that on a regular basis because the position he's being asked to play by Ruben Amorim, right, is a specialised position. And he's not a specialised left wing back, even if he's on the right. So for me, he can't do the job. He's unable to do it. He's a workhorse. He'll get in there. He'll get stuck in. But for me, it's just not working. And for Ruben Amorim, and this is the problem, his system and what he wants the players to do, his wing-back positions need specialists in it, and we haven't got them. So he's got a problem going forward, trying to find a solution until he gets the chance in the transfer market to bring the right players in. And I certainly don't see when he brought Dorgu in as being a specialist. I think that's a work in progress. I've not give Dorgu high marks for a long time. And the reason, I'm not too sure. We have highlighted Dorgu. There is a problem.
Yeah, just going back onto Dalot, I think a lot of our regular viewers out there will know my opinions, certainly on Dalot. Ever since that defeat 3-0 here at Old Trafford to Tottenham, that in the big moments in attack and defence, more often than not, Dalot will let you down. And I'm constantly seeing Ruben Amorim having to coach him through the games. And one of the questions they asked you at the start of the video is Ruben Amorim's left wing-back problem down to just one player? No, it's not. We've brought a player in, Dorgu, in there last January, and he doesn't seem to be giving competition for Dalot in that left wing-back spot, which for me is more worrying.
I think Dorgu's not giving on the pitch or in training what Ruben Amorim wants. Listen, Dorgu was cheap at the time. He needed somebody to come in and play in that left wing-back. But, you know, I just look at it. He's not doing it. And he's having to use Dorgu. He's having to use Dalot in that position, and he doesn't want him in that position. You can clearly see that. Kieran says he speaks to him a lot on the sideline. He seems to speak to Dalot on the sideline more than any other player because he knows it's a problem. But I don't think he's got an option at the moment. I don't think Dorgu is doing the business, and he's going to struggle right the way through till the end of the season, sorting that position out, because I don't see anyone inside the club ready to fill that role.
Yeah, and I do highlight as well that it's not just Dalot I notice with Amorim having to coach him, in my opinion, through games. He's having to do that as well with Dorgu. And Dorgu, for me, I'll just be honest with you, he's out there. I tend to think to myself that he'll get the ball and he'll be in space, no players around him, but he'll end up on his backside. But he'll also get a free kick, which is a talent in itself. But for me, he's just on the floor too much, or he's not getting into positions where you want to see that speed used, because he's got speed, he's got strength, where you want to see him beat the fullback of the opposition and whip across him. But again, even though he's left-footed on that side, he looks and tends to play the ball inside, square pass or a backward pass, just as much as Dalot does.
Well, this is Ruben Amorim's problem. We've got a centre forward. We had one in Hoyland, wasn't getting the ball from the wings at all. Now we've got Sesko. Now, there's a little bit of criticism of Sesko, but if you're not getting the ball, there's not really that much you can do about it. And Dorgu and Dalot are not providing it. Even if Dalot is playing on the right wing back, they are not providing decent crosses, but they're also not overlapping and getting behind and putting the ball back. They seem to struggle to get behind a low block. And United, for a while now, when they come up against a low block, struggle in them wing-back positions. So for me, Dorgu is failing. Yes, young lad. He's come straight in, started straight away, started on the right. And I criticise, what's he doing on the right? People criticise me, saying, no, he can play on the right. Well, he certainly can. He's on the left. And now I think he's out of favour big time. So Ruben Amorim will be looking at bringing in a specialised left wing-back to take Dorgu out. And hopefully Dorgu can progress down the line. So for me, that's a major, major thing in January he should be looking at, because if he doesn't, this momentum will come undone.
Yeah, I think a lot of us out there as well, and the majority here in the Webby O'Neill community, had the sense of reality that just because we had a summer training down us, a pre-season, Dalot wasn't going to come back this season and all of a sudden be a Maicon or a Cafu all of a sudden. To me, he's always going to be a squad player at best, and he is some like a utility player. He can play on the left-hand side, he can play on the right, and them certain players you do actually need in your squad. But I just need to see more from him. I mean, over the last 12 months or so, when I have highlighted Dalot's poor performances and reiterated what I think about him, I should be seeing consistent performance from him right now. He's 26 years of age. He needs to start upping his game and actually taking more responsibility for me. And I have always highlighted as well that I actually do think he takes up some good positions in attack. But when he then takes up them positions, to me, it all boils down to his actual decision-making. And the top players all have the best decision-making with the ball at his feet. And his decision-making is always to either pass it inside or go backwards instead of trying to take the man on. And be brave, because that's what we want at Man United. We want players in them attacking areas to be brave, show what they can do. And for me, I know he's right-footed and he's on the left-hand side, but come on, just be a bit braver.
Look. Many players at United, especially over the last 12 months, have been used in positions they're not comfortable with. I don't even know what Dalot's position is in the team now because the system's changed since Ruben Amorim's come in. So he's uncomfortable in any position I see him being put in. And he's not the only player what's been sort of moved in different positions. I look at Mason Mount. I'm not sure how he gets in the team. I did highlight that in the summer. How does he get in the team? Well, for me, Dalot is getting in the team because of underperforming players. Yeah. Yes, we need squad players and all that, but I don't see him being comfortable in any position. He just seems to tend to do the same thing, goes up and then struggles to get back. Or he's at the back where he should be going forward, whether it's on the left or the right, or whether he plays in a back three or anything like that. For me, is a squad player. He's got no specialised position. So for me, did they look at him and say, right, we need to replace him in January, replace him in the summer? I think there's a few players. But what I don't like is the target of hate, what I've seen towards Dalot. That's unfair. 2 years ago, he got Player of the Year. I think he's a good, solid player. At a right back, well, we've not got a right back as in the form of like tactics what Dalot has been brought up with. So for me, he's just there to
filling gaps.
And there's one or two players in this squad what are there just to fill in gaps. So I think the hate has to stop. There's no harm at all. It's okay to criticise a performance. And Dalot, we've criticised him. His performances at times have been terrible, or they've been half-hearted. They've not been up to the standard. But I just put it down to he's filling in gaps. And he can't play them systems, left wing back, right wing back. They are specialists. So he's being made to look a scapegoat and sound like a scapegoat from a lot of the online abuse, what I've seen, and from some other angles as well.
Fred Cranham, absolute legend. Fred the Red has gifted 10 memberships.
Top man.
The 10 people who've been gifted their memberships, say a big thank you to Fred. And like we said there, you know, is it just one player that's the problem there in that left wing back spot? And it's clearly not, in our opinion. I mean, other players who can play there, Dorgu, he's just not providing any competition for places at the moment, in my opinion. Mazraoui, when he's fit, he has played on that side once or twice, but I don't think he's the solution either. I do see Mazraoui at his position in challenging and rotation minutes with Yoro on that right-hand side of the back three. So my only other thoughts around who we've got available in the squad is Luke Shaw the answer in this current squad that he's got available to him, Ruben Amorim, when Martinez comes back?
Well, I've got to take...
Let me know what you think out there.
I've got to take a few points up there. Mazraoui, again, where does he play? Where's his best position? He seems to have been moved in quite a few positions. Another one who fills in gaps. So for me, and then you talk about Luke Shaw, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Luke Shaw is where he is. And what you're going to do, you're looking for the future. Well, we've got to buy someone. He's got to bring somebody in that position as soon as he can. So for now, we're having to do with, then Ruben Amorim is mixing and matching, and maybe
I've got to be honest with you.
No, but maybe we're just filling as it is. This is a work in progress. Okay, this team is a work in progress. It's no time to panic. Okay, so for me,
yeah. Well, if it's not time to panic, like I've just said there, for now in this season. For me personally, I'd like to see Luke Shaw tried at left wing back, especially if the performances from Dalot and Dorgu continue. For me, I don't see what the problem is there. I don't think, and this is just me saying things out loud, I don't think in the January transfer window, Man United are going to go out there and go and get a left wing back, especially when we only got Dorgu less than 12 months ago, and we've brought that other young kid in, Diego Leon, who's currently playing with the academy, who scored a great goal, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, individual run from the halfway line against Tottenham, but it's too soon for him. So for me, I don't see what the problem would be in trying Luke Shaw at left back. Plus, you're not going to get him cutting inside more often than not. You would expect Luke Shaw with that left foot to try and beat the man and get a cross in. It's probably one of our best crosses from that side with a left foot when you look at what players we've got available.
Luke Shaw has cemented his place where he is now, and he's playing reasonably well. I'll put it that way. Diego Leon, further down the line, might be an option. He might be getting all the game time in the under-21s and all that. And he might be ready by the time Christmas, New Year comes. Who knows? That might be in Ruben Amorim's thought. But the problem is the man brought in to do that job isn't doing that job, Dorgu. Yeah. And we did say the other month, I think we was the first to highlight it, that there is a problem between Ruben Amorim and Dorgu, and it clearly is. So for me, has he got the eyes on Leon? I don't think we should be swapping and changing Luke Shaw or anyone from any other position, and I certainly don't think Mazraoui is the answer at the moment. I think it'll just have to be a battle to get better performances from Dorgu and Dalot at the moment until this Christmas, New Year comes up, and then assess the situation. As I say, it's a work in progress. Well, listen, we're not the greatest team. Finished 15th last year. So where we're at the moment, right, we're developing. We've brought new players in, but they're further forward and they need the help, and they're not getting it from the wing-back positions as I see it. So that's the next step.
I'm sure people who don't fancy and rate Ruben Amorim as the long-term manager will be probably putting that problem position on the left wing-back spot purely down to Amorim and on his toes.
Yeah.
What would you say to that, though?
Well, I'll just say that when he came in and the first chance he got, he knew that was the problem. He knew the wing-back had to be sorted out, and he went and got Dorgu. Thought Dorgu would fit in and do the business, not to a top standard, because he ain't the top standard player. He's a decent player. He went and got him and thought, right, you'll be a shoe in there. You'll be on a regular basis playing in that position. But he had to bring somebody in. And you remember, if he thought Dalot could do that position, he would have kept him there and not bought Dorgu. So for me, it's just a shoe in, because Dorgu isn't up to the standard Ruben Amorim wants. But it's not the only position what's the problem. But it's not helping out, because that left wing back and right wing back position, they should be bombing it down the line and getting the crosses in. And I can't remember, right, the last time I seen 2 decent crosses from the wing backs. I just can't remember right at this moment. You might be able to tell me different. But these wing back roles, they should be bombing it down there and getting behind and crossing the ball on a regular basis right throughout the game. And I'm not seeing it. And Ruben Amorim understands that.
Yeah, you just see in the opposition when the wing-backs have, well, on particularly the left side wing-back position, you know, when they're cutting in into midfield, they're just being surrounded by 1 or 2, 3 players from the opposition, and it's just easy to defend, and it's not just giving us that width that we need as well when we need to switch it from right to left to get balls then back in. But Lawrence in the chat says, during the AFCON, Dorgu and Dalot will function okay on the left and right, but we need a way to play with Sesko then, or we just use a false 9. Not ideal with the team short of players. Thanks for your comment, mate.
Listen, Sesko, any centre-forward, right, should be thriving with wing-backs. But our wing-backs aren't doing the business, because the centre-forward's up there and he expects the occasional ball coming through the midfield, working it through, and he's expecting crosses in from the wing-backs who bomb it down and get behind. But the centre-forward's not getting it because we haven't got the people in place to do it. And it's got to change, but it can't change right at this moment. So it's the best of a bad bunch, really.
I was talking earlier on that I don't think in the January window we'll look to go out and get any sort of left wing-back to actually play in that position in January. So leading us on to some updates from Fabrizio Romano, talking that Ruben Amorim and the club have actually sat down to discuss the January targets. What do you make of that? Do you think we'll actually end up surprising people by getting 1 or 2 players?
Maybe not in January, but it's not surprising that the club has sat down. It came out the other week that the club knew they had to pinpoint targets and that players weren't up to scratch in this team. They've actually said it themselves. He's come out now and reiterated that, yes, there will be investment, but will it come in January? Will you get the specialist players, the right players in positions? Now, there's quite a few positions I look at, like the wing-backs, the centre-half, and the holding midfield player. Now, I've seen people going on about we need to get Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Maybe because that's the topic at the moment, because we played Forest. Well, you're not going to get Anderson, right? Certainly not going to get Anderson in January. You're not going to get any top midfield player or any top player in January, because they'll either be fighting, as Anderson is at this moment, could be fighting relegation. Or some players might be in teams what are fighting to get in the Champions League or even into Europe. So at the end of the day, January is a difficult time. Investment will come, but I see it coming in the summer, not in January.
Yeah, Anderson, especially at that £100 million price tag that I've seen a couple of weeks ago with reports coming out at Nottingham Forest. So the best bet there is, if you want Anderson, hopefully Nottingham Forest get relegated this season, so it'll lower the price. But after watching Saturday's game against them, I think Sean Dyche will do a job there, and I don't think there'll be any threat of relegation come the end of this season for me.
No, listen, Anderson, he's just one of so many players, but United are looking at a list of players, and quite rightly, I'd be very disappointed, if they weren't looking at players, or they hadn't even sort of like ticked off, right, we need to replace him. He can't do that job. He's not good enough to take us forward. Might be a decent player, but are they good enough, some of these players? Well, clearly not. We know that. We're not daft. Are they good enough? Because Man United want players to challenge for the league, challenge for the Champions League, all the top trophies. That's what they want, these players, what they're going to look at to come in so they can challenge. And there's clearly 4, possibly 5 players in that squad, what you'd say, right, you can get them out, you won't miss them, they won't help United progress in the future. So for me, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at the next 2 years to bring in the right players and move some of these players on and get some money in for them.
Yeah, I think you always hear, especially from Omar Barada, about value for money. And that definitely applies to the January window with value for money. A lot of teams out there with the top or the good players don't want to let them go halfway through a season. So it might be more of a case of, if we do go out there and get someone, it might be the same type or profile as a Dorgu we got last January, who's a bit of an unknown out there.
Well, did we get value for Dorgu? All right, it's 20 million. But is that value? No, it's not. I've not really seen him have game after game where he's impressed. I've just not seen it.
But he's definitely a work in progress.
I'm not saying he's not. Yeah. But what I'm saying is
it's not
the idea to get Dorgu, and I go back to what I said before, the whole idea to get Dorgu was to make sure he's got a left wing back for his system. And he thought Dorgu would be able to slot in there and do a job. I'm not saying a great job or anything like that, but he's not doing the job. Our centre forwards have not received the ball from our wing backs, whoever plays there. And Dorgu is part of the problem, right, when delivering a ball. He's poor at it. And Ruben Amorim has fell out with him, and they've had their arguments. You can clearly see that because he's not being picked.
Yeah, in your opinion, okay. But yeah, I think over the next couple of transfer windows, January and the summer, though, I do think they will target more players who have maybe got that Premier League experience, i.e. like Acuna and Mbeumo.
Specialised.
Yeah, more people who have got like that experience, though, in the Premier League over any of the younger players like a Dorgu or even like a Sesko. Like I say, over the weekend, I've seen a bit of Sesko slander as well for his performance at Forest, but for me, I'm happy with him right now. Yeah, I didn't have the best of games at Forest, but that does happen.
Yeah, but he's got the touch. You can see it. He's got the touch, just doesn't get the ball enough.
His touch was poor over the weekend against Forest, in my opinion, but what I like from him and what you want to see from a centre-forward is his runs. It's not just all that straight running in a straight line. There's actually some thought process around it, making diagonal runs, giving the defenders something to think about. I mean, that opportunity early on, what we had in the first, was it 2 to 3 minutes? I think, did we get a corner from it? Or we should have got a corner from it. I mean, the actual movement from him to make the space for himself was really good. If he keeps on continuing to do that, the goals will come.
No, but if he carries on doing that, he'll lose out because the ball's not coming to him, because the people out wide aren't delivering it. Okay, so he will improve if he gets the right ball. Well, he's not getting the right ball because the right people aren't in the place to deliver it. And that has to change going forward. So instead of criticising and going on and on and on, right, Ruben Amorim knows what he's got to do. The club know what they've got to do. And Sesko, unfortunately, isn't getting the service he thought he would. So if he carries on running into channels and not getting the ball, he could end up, right, being a bit despondent, just like Højlund was at times. But I think there's more to Sesko, okay? I think there's more, like, the energy's there, and he will knuckle down and sort of say, here we go, let's get the ball to me, and I've got to keep hold of it, and I've got to play in a different way until I get the right service. I see it that way, me, with Sesko. I don't think he's a poor player at all. I think it's poor service, what he's getting.
Talking about poor service, and I do agree with you, in parts of that Forest game. But this is where you've only got one game a week now. Got enough time on the training ground to start getting partnerships together, especially with patterns of play, not just from the back, but also up front as well. So at the end of it, we see the ball put in the back of the net.
Well, I don't see partnerships in this team more than like...
And Mbeumo and Ahmad.
And Mbeumo and Ahmad at the moment. Because at the end of the day, if you keep changing players in positions taking him out of the team and then bringing somebody in who's not comfortable in that position. How are you supposed to get partnerships? And then I go back to, if you move Luke Shaw into that position, then you're taking the partnership out, what you're trying to build at the back. That is the problem we've got. So to build partnerships, you need players consistently, week in, week out, starting 11. And we've not seen that, because I've said, and I've said for a long, long time, I never know who he's going to pick. Now, you look at Saturday's game against Forest. People were criticising because Maguire wasn't there.
Maguire will come back in against Tottenham.
I didn't say he would or he wouldn't.
I'm giving my opinion.
No, but I'm just saying, right? Maguire wasn't there. Now, you see how they target, people were targeting our defence, like Dalot. Dalot has been excellent, absolutely excellent. Oh, because we never won a few headers, that's because we never had Maguire in there. 12 months ago, 18 months ago, not one person wanted Maguire on the pitch. Yes, we know he's done well in certain games. All the players have done well in certain games, and we've got a bit of momentum, but we haven't got stability because these players aren't good enough in the positions they're being asked to play. It's not their natural position.
Ray says, Ahmad should get the same criticism. He is not good enough. He slows the pace of the game down all the time, spends too much time on the floor, and his crossing is abysmal. I'd like to know everyone else's opinion first in the community on that, on Ahmad. But thanks for your comment, my mate. It's an opinion.
I think what it was, I think his level of performance on his recent performances was lower than what we've seen. And yes, a little bit of criticism, no harm in that. But to go fully at Ahmad and say, oh, he's not good enough for this or he's not good enough for that, as I've seen online and on social media about the criticism, but people were going at Ahmad. He shouldn't even be in the team. He's not good enough, this, that and the other. Well, I tell you what, Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton, partnership with Mbumo, you can see it, it's working. Yeah, the level weren't as high, but that happens. You can't play to the top standard. But is he a wing back? Is he a wing back? But I'll tell you what, he's performing excellent for a position no one thought he would be in. So for me, there's no criticism of Ahmad long term. Yes, he didn't have a good game, and I did say he didn't play to the standard what we're used to over the last month.
Yeah, I find it difficult as well to sit here really and like going hard on any of the players at the moment, considering the actual run of games and the actual results that we've actually got out of certain games. And I think we've got to more or less try and just get behind these players just as supporters of what we do every game before it, during it, and then we'll have our opinions after the game. But for me right now, going into a massive game there against Tottenham on Saturday, we get the 3 points there before the international break. I mean, that choo-choo, that deluded train's back on track.
Well, I just look at it. Yes, players can have a poor game or a bad game or anything like that. But if you look at the turnaround, what's gone on, it's not just about what's going on the pitch. It's off the field as well. What's going on in training, what's going on around Carrington, what's going on inside the club. But there is a togetherness with this group of footballers. So people can get over. Players aren't like getting annoyed with each other. They can have a poor game, but they can all celebrate together. They can all get together without falling out. There's a different attitude. So as a squad, I think it's excellent, the mood in the camp. Absolutely excellent. And players, I think they understand that certain players aren't playing in the position what they're comfortable with, but there's a momentum. And there is a bit of consistency. And most of all, there's a fight. Even if some of these players have a poor game, you're still seeing a bit of fight.
The only thing with me as well is that, and every player has a poor game, like you've just said, that's just human nature in it and footballers. But if Sesko does have a poor game, who's he then really got to choose from when he looks at his bench? I mean, Xerxes, he's not that out-and-out number 9. He's never going to be a natural goal scorer who grabs your goals on a consistent basis. I think it's highly likely that he actually leaves in January as well. So for me, the only option he's got then is really putting Cunha as that false 9, and it's not something a lot of fans really are like over keen on or get on board with, really.
There's no talk of dropping Sesko, in my opinion. Okay, it's not Sesko's fault, this. Time and time again, we've all seen the poor supply to the centre forward. Sesko has to get on there and keep up his work, right, and hope that Ruben Amorim can get the system, okay, and get these players delivering the ball where it should be for Sesko. That's why he bought him. But unfortunately, Ruben Amorim, at the beginning, Ruben Amorim's got bigger problems, right, than some people think. Okay, because the delivery's not there. The style of the wing-backs is not good enough for what is needed. And Sesko was brought in as a striker to get a supply of ball and put it in the back of the net. And he is not getting it. So I am not going to criticise at any time Sesko. If he doesn't get the ball in the game, that's not his fault. And I don't want Sesko falling back. I just don't want him falling back. Yeah. Trying to get the ball at his feet. It's not what he's here for. What an out-and-out goal scorer. Someone who can run onto a ball. Someone who can anticipate a delivery. Well, he's not getting the deliveries, in my opinion. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, when you start talking about when United are back in a turning point, so to speak, for me personally, you'll only ever know that when you start seeing Man United actually controlling games in the final third of the pitch in terms of possession. And I don't think we'll actually get that until we actually get proper specialised wing-backs. And, you know, it's not often you see United as well in the last 15, 20 minutes of games controlling the game and seeing the game out as well.
Look, the last month has been all about survival. United aren't back. United was ready, rock bottom nearly, again.
He was having a laugh and a joke the other week, though, saying we're back, though. Was that a bit of...
Look, I'm telling you straight, United aren't back. Yeah. A month ago, this club was ready to explode. No two ways about it. But we beat Sunderland. Then we went to Liverpool. And then we beat Brighton. Now, people thought, the majority of people thought, we've got no chance in them games. Okay, and that Ruben Amorim was going to get sacked. I thought the owners would crumble and get rid of him, and they didn't do. So fair play, because it has turned round. Okay, we're not back. What we are is a work in progress, and ups and downs, as I said. Now, people were criticising United. I thought they'd win at Nottingham against Forest. Right, we got a point, and I was happy with the point. I was relieved with the point because that's where we are. That is exactly where we are. And we go to Tottenham, and I think we've got a great chance, an absolute great chance of beating Tottenham because they're having their own problems, struggling to win at home, bit of chaos in the camp and that, which is good to see. So United might be able to take advantage, okay? But they are not a settled side, Man United, and they will not be all season. Because people keep getting put in positions they're not comfortable with because Ruben Amorim has no other choice, as I see it. And he knows he's got many, many problems besides trying to get Diego Dalot playing good football as a left wing-back when he's not a left wing-back. And he's trying to get Dorgu to be the player he thought he was when he bought him.
Just like to thank you all for joining us today. Just been having a read through your comments there, some top opinions in there. Please carry it on in the comment section below. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe as well, as we're on the march to 100,000 subscribers here in the Webby and O'Neill community. We'll be back tomorrow, so get that notification on and come and join us for a new Manchester United chat. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.